Hi everybody, Nigel here. I hope you're all well. If you've watched any of my other intros during lockdown, you'll see that I have relocated from the study to the living room here, kind of in an attempt to recreate the Barry Norman vibe a little bit more. So my pick from our Also Rans list this week does have a tenuous thematic link to Wayne's choice from last week. Like Citizen Kane, Werner Herzog's Grizzly Man is also about a doomed egomaniac, though there the comparisons probably stop. Grizzly Man is a documentary about Timothy Treadwell, a self-proclaimed kind warrior who spent 13 summers living with grizzly bears in a national park in Alaska. He believed he'd gained the trust of the bears and was protecting them from poachers. Tragically, in 2003, Treadwell and his girlfriend stayed too long, the bears were hungry, and they killed the two campers. For the last 5 years of his life, Treadwell filmed his summers with the Grizzlies, and Herzog had access to more than 100 hours of his remarkable footage. And while the two men certainly have very different outlooks, you'll hear in Herzog's narration the director praising Treadwell's filmmaking and composition of shots. We've shown 4 Herzog films at Film Club: Aguirre, The Wrath of God, and Nosferatu, both starring his legendary sparring partner Klaus Kinski, and the 2 films Herzog made with the non-professional actor Bruno S., The Enigma of Caspar Hauser, and Strozek. Those 4 were all made in the 70s, and the features Herzog made then, going up to Fitzcarraldo, again with Kinski in 1982, are probably still his best known and most acclaimed films. While his feature films in the late 80s and 90s are something of a mixed bag, Herzog directed theatre and opera around the world and made brilliant documentaries like Lessons of Darkness in 1992 and Little Dieter Needs to Fly in 1997 that were produced for television. But Grizzly Man, which got a cinema release in 2005, for me is the moment when Werner Herzog became not just beloved by film nerds like me, but a mainstream figure in pop culture. Since making Grizzly Man, Herzog's become a fixture on talk shows. He's voiced a character in The Simpsons, and this year he's even played a villain in the Star Wars TV series The Mandalorian. All of these appearances play on aspects of Herzog's persona that are evident in Grizzly Man. Timothy Treadwell, the ill-fated bear enthusiast, is a classic Herzog character. Like Aguirre and Fitzcarraldo, he's an egomaniac driven by a potentially lethal dream. And he's not just like the people in Herzog's fiction. At one point in Grizzly Man, Herzog talks about Treadwell and says, "I have seen this madness before on a film set." Anyone who's familiar with Herzog's filmmaking history will know he's referring to Klaus Kinski here. And if you're interested in that tempestuous relationship, you should definitely seek out Herzog's documentary about Kinski, which is called My Best Fiend. There are many Werner Herzog memes on the internet, you've probably seen them, that riff on his instantly recognisable German accent and occasionally bleak worldview, and at its heart, Grizzly Man is about one of Herzog's favourite recurring themes, nature. Timothy Treadwell was someone with a sentimental view of nature. You'll see that. He has an anthropomorphic view of the wild bears he's camping with. He believes he can live in harmony with these lethal animals and gives them names like Mr. Chocolate and Sergeant Brown. Herzog's view of nature could not be more different. There's a memorable scene in Burden of Dreams, Les Blanc's excellent documentary about the making of Fitzcarraldo, where Herzog is contemplating the jungle where they're filming. He says, "Taking a close look at what's around us, there is some sort of a harmony, but it's the harmony of overwhelming and collective murder." So there's this tension between the director and his subject's fundamental worldview, which I think is one of the key aspects of what makes Grizzly Man such a compelling film. A couple of other points of interest to finish with. Music in Herzog's films is often really interesting, and the score here is by Richard Thompson. It's predominantly electric guitar themes that evoke this vast Alaskan landscape. And if you are a Richard Thompson fan, there's a film on YouTube of the Grizzly Man sessions that I've linked to on our website that is well worth a look. I've also linked to an infamous interview that Herzog did with Mark Kermode while promoting Grizzly Man. Before they get talking about the film, Herzog is shot by a stranger with an air rifle, and when Mark shows some concern, the director dismisses it as only he can, as not a significant bullet. It is one of those many incidents that add to Herzog's mythic persona. It's also a really good interview about the film, so have a look at that too. And finally, on the website, I've also recommended a few more of my favourite Werner Herzog documentaries. So if Grizzly Man whets your appetite for more, do check those out. Okay, that's it from me. Enjoy the film. Let us know what you think. Stay safe. Viddy well.